Yeah. Okay, well, welcome. Let's get started with our inner child roots and wings. And this is a 4-week class. Today is class one. I'm Christie Bemis, and some of you may know me. I'm a psychotherapist in the Madison, Wisconsin community. And for me, inner child work has been only in the last decade, honestly, maybe even hitting it hard in the last 5 years. And it's been life-changing after having in my life two failed marriages. I kind of got the hint that maybe the universe was telling me it's time for you to heal some patterns here, Christy. And so I knew that as I launched into dating in my 50s, that I definitely wanted to do some work on myself. And I worked with a professional, and I've also taken a lot of courses in it. For me, my inner child, if I had to name her, like if we decide we're going to name our inner child, Tami will lead us in that. I would name her Dee Dee, Deets, because that was like my nickname as a little girl growing up. And for me, the pieces that I've healed is just being super parentified with my mom, who had a lot of mental health illnesses, a lot of depression in my very early childhood years, and even a suicide attempt that my sister and I found her um, after her attempt. And then the response and reaction from my dad, which was, um, we don't talk about it, which was code for your perspective, your feelings aren't as important as covering up and looking like we're a good Catholic family. And so the work that I've done, that's the deepest depth of that. Like how do you heal that when your needs were really not met as a child? And then how do you show up for yourself and not gaslight yourself? That's the work and the journey pieces of it that I've been on. That's a little bit about me. I'll have Tami introduce herself.
Yes. Hello, I'm Tami Schiltz, and I live in Madison, Wisconsin. I grew up in a very small town. I actually grew out in the country on a farm. So, farm girl for life. Raccoons are my spirit animals. I used to have a pet raccoon named Gertrude. So, yeah, I know some of you are Tami Talks listeners. So, whoop, whoop. Thank you for tuning in. You're probably like, yeah, we've heard your story, lady, because you've tuned in every week to the podcast. But for those of you that aren't familiar, I reconnected with my inner child. Gosh, it's been almost 4 years ago now. And once I made that connection, everything clicked. It was just like everything made sense. But here, my entire life, I became a dietitian to fix myself because I had body dysmorphia in third grade. I was trying to be anorexic in high school. I was an emotional binge eater in college. I was using exercise to punish myself. I was doing everything to not feel, everything to dissociate, everything to check out. And I was searching for everything outside of myself to fix what I thought was broken. And it's so interesting, all of these little lessons. I'm looking back like, that's why that happened. That's why that happened. But it was never about the food. It was never about my weight. It was about my unworthiness wound, my childhood wounds that I didn't even know I had because I didn't even know I had an inner child. But when I figured it out, I made that connection. Like I said, it all made sense and made everything else so much easier. I say that, but this work is not, it's not easy, but it helps to have a little perspective. And so when I really connected with my inner child, I felt like it was time for me to show up as the adult for her. And because, like Christie, I took care of everyone growing up, energetically and emotionally. Maybe not necessarily like the actual things, but I felt like I'm an empath, I'm highly sensitive. And so I was always reading the room and energy and managing that and never fully in my own experience because I was always trying to manage everyone else's emotions. Like I didn't want to rock the boat. So I was always like the easy kid, the funny kid, the whatever kid. And so my needs didn't matter. I didn't want to tell people that I was sad or mad or anything like that. And so I have had to learn how to feel safe with all of my emotions. And that has looked many different ways over the last few years. But It's been a very, very, very powerful journey. And like I said, it's completely transformed my life, my business, the way I show up for myself, for people I work with, but especially my kids, especially my kids. And so I'm getting so many goosebumps right now. Just like, oh, I can't wait to meet everyone's inner child because it's so much fun. Like, even though this work can feel daunting and yeah, you might have to go open some of those dark rooms and ask her questions and if there's things that she needs you to feel, whatever, but there is so many beautiful gifts in this journey. And once that starts happening, you're like, it's the most amazing feeling ever. So I'm super pumped for y'all to be here. So, and your inner child is too. She's very proud of you.
I love that. Yeah, let's start with some agreements. Do you want to talk a little bit, Tammy, about confidentiality?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Vegas rule. What happens in here stays in here. And the biggest reason why, because so much of inner child work is about feeling safe. We want your inner child to feel safe to come out and tell her story, to feel safe in sharing whatever she needs to share within this group. But also, even if you're not sharing out loud, for you to feel, you need to be safe for these emotions to come up and to be felt. And so you want to know that whatever is coming up for you or whatever you do share is going to be held sacred within this group. So that way your inner child can feel safe. It's all about safety.
Yeah. So in order to get group agreement, I always say do like a little twinkle fingers. Can we agree to like confidentiality? See all the fingers. Good job.
Jazz hands.
Yeah. Jazz hands. Uh, be willing to play in the yellow. So any growth that I've ever had in my life has never come from like the mountaintop highs or like the joys, although those are fun, juicy things to have. But most of my growth has come from the valleys and the uncomfortableness and discomfort. And so I always say like the yellow is like um the edge of discomfort, but not the oh my gosh, the house is on fire. It's like not that's red zone. We're playing in the yellow zone. So yellow zone is some discomfort, some personal, maybe your discomfort is personal sharing, or maybe some of your discomfort is being on camera. Maybe some of your discomfort is this inner child work just in general. But be willing to play in the yellow a little bit with us and trust that we'll hold the safe container. And if somebody needs like extra support outside of classes, just reach out and like let us know. So, um, can you talk a little bit about vulnerability, like an agreement to be vulnerable?
Yes.
Okay.
Thinking about this is your inner child's opportunity to, like, whether we realize it or not, your emotions are valid, your feelings are valid, your story is valid regardless of anyone else's. And that was a huge hurdle for me, was that I feel like, well, I don't maybe have as bad as so and so, or I had a pretty good childhood. Let all of that go. Your inner child is like, no, this is, you showed up for us. So actually show up for us. Actually say what you need to say without any filters, without ego filtering you, and allow yourself to be open and vulnerable and raw in that emotion. And those for you that watch my podcast, like, I will allow that to come through. Like, I don't want to filter that, because then I'm telling her that, well, you should dim it down. You should tone it down. Like, nah, not here. We are playing full out, fully vulnerable. Let her express, just like, any little kid, a toddler that needs to express their emotions. Like, do they filter themselves? Do they care if they're being vulnerable? No, they let it all out. And that's kind of what we want you to do while feeling safe in doing that. So vulnerability is your superpower and is your strength in here.
Yeah, it's super welcome. I think the last one I really have is non-closure, that we have to, when we start the work, when we begin a journey, we're not going to wrap it up in a little pretty package and bow. It's not like, Dorothy going home after, finding the magic within her. Can we be okay with just having a little non-closure, having it not wrapped up in a neat bow, that it might be the start of a journey, and it might actually have you be more inquiring or inquisitive about your past, or even about memories, certain memories you have. And like, that's okay. There'll be support options after the 4 weeks with us, but don't expect bows. This is a gift without wrapping papers and bows. It'll just kind of leave you a little, maybe a little open gift that you'll leave here with. So those are our agreements. Does anybody have anything else that they want to add that's important to them for us to have the container that we're hoping to have? Okay.
I
Twinkle
hope to have
fingers.
some fun.
I hope to have some fun too.
Can we
Yeah.
agree to have fun and like make it playful too?
Yeah,
I'm
let's
here
do
for
that
that.
too. Okay, that's an agreement. But let's have fun too. So the next is we kind of want to hear from you. And I think the easiest way to do it, if you're okay with that, is I'm going to call on you. This pass rule is always there. You're welcome to say pass, and that's fine, but we won't get to know you. So yeah, let's start with, can I start with DK? Yeah, if you can
Name.
unmute yourself.
Sorry, I'm not very computer literate, so please bear
That's
with me.
okay. Yeah,
I
welcome.
don't know
So you're
how to
just
change my name.
Okay, I can help you with that, but for time's sake right now, why
Yes,
don't you just
yes.
tell us who you are, where you were from, and what your intention is, what you're hoping to get out of your time with us.
My name is Danielle Clavin. I am from Greenwood, Wisconsin, small town, 969 people.
Yeah.
And I'm very new to all of this. So I don't know what I'm getting into, but here I am trying.
We like
Yay.
that. How brave of you. Thank you. And what was your first name again?
Danielle
Danielle. Okay.
or Danny. I'm good with either.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You can mute yourself again, Danny. And then I'm gonna go to Lindsay because you're next on my screen.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm actually also from Greenwood, Wisconsin. Um, so I'm really excited to be here just because I know that for me, like, there's a lot of childhood things that need to be uncovered and dealt with. And I'm excited to finally do some work on inner child so I can keep doing the things that I'm doing.
Yay.
Awesome. Thanks. I'm gonna go to Tami with a Y.
Sorry. Hit
No
my-
worries.
I'm used to my work computer. My name's Tami Lamy, and I actually just moved back to my hometown 2 years ago, Bloomington, Wisconsin, down in the middle of nowhere. And I guess after moving, and I was divorced 10 years and started dating 2 years ago after not dating, and then started listening to Tami, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So all this stuff was hitting home. I'm like, okay, yeah, I need some inner child work going on, and just excited to make some changes. So
That's great. Yeah. Thanks and welcome. I'm gonna move to Kay.
Hello, I'm Kay Hauser. I'm from Madison, for the most part. Um, I, I'm here for a lot of reasons. I guess the biggest is tapping into the inner child. That's been difficult for me. I don't have a lot of memories, and yeah, there's a lot there. So trying to figure out how to get there without really recollecting a lot.
Great.
Feel that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Dana.
Hi, I'm Dana from Verona, and I don't know exactly why I'm here. I've listened to Tami for quite a while. I worked with her, I don't even remember how or when or what we did, something with dietitian work for me years ago. But actually, the most recent, I think 2 episodes ago, the one where you started talking about your new relationship and things like that, and also like when you announced that you were getting divorced, just made me feel so much better because like I declared my divorce back in 2019, or my separation, and got divorced in the midst of COVID via video, which was just perfect. And and also shortly after announcing my separation, found myself in a new relationship with my high school sweetheart. And we've been together for 5.5, almost 6 years now. And I'm just realizing there's still lots of stuff there. And my two youngest daughters are adopted, and I've been in trauma therapy with them for 9 years, 9 years. And they do play therapy, and we work through the situation that they were in as infants and things like that. And, I didn't ever realize that, they're dealing with their little, selves. And I guess I must be too. So, yeah. So that's why I'm here, just to figure out what she needs. So,
Love
Nice.
that.
Thank you. Carly.
Hi, I'm Carly. I'm originally from California, but now live in Madison. And I'm here just because I love any opportunity to grow.
Great.
Ooh.
Welcome. Kelsey.
Hello, my name is Kelsey. I was actually invited by my friend Carly. I also live in Madison, and we just love talking about, you know, ourselves and how we are in the world. And I think having a guided, deeper kind of journey to that would be really interesting than just, you know, kind of doing it all on our own.
I love that. I love that friends are joining each other, and like that gives me goosebumps that,
Same.
I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Wonderful.
Wow.
Ashley.
Okay, so my name's Ashley. I am originally from the same area that Tami is. Tami's older than me and you're probably closer to my sister's age, right?
Ooh.
She's
Yeah.
just turned 40, so
Yes.
you got to be either a year older or behind.
I'm 42. Fine.
Okay, sorry,
Proud
Tami.
of it.
Sorry.
Outed you.
Yes, I'll claim that. Yes.
Sorry. And so actually I started listening to Tammy's podcast just because she's a back home girl. And so she moved away, kind of like the same thing I did. And listening to her podcast has like really shown me a lot of stuff that I didn't know was an issue. And um yeah, so there's a lot to unwrap. I've listened very frequently to Tammy's podcast and has helped me like do that moment where it's like, oh, that explains that. That explains that. So I have done some therapy work. My profession is I'm a dairy farmer. I also work at a big, large operation. So I've always farmed my whole life. So if none of you are around that, Tami, you can understand there's a lot of dynamic that goes into that with mental health. And then on top of it, you get that stuff figured out, which I've worked a lot on. And then now it's time to work on like myself of what happened in my childhood. I come from a divorced family. My husband comes from a divorced family. We both said to each other when we got married that we wanted to stop the cycle. Fast forward 6 years, there's a lot of work and a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And then there's some things in our marriage that I feel I need to focus on, and it stemmed back from that I learned from my inner child. There's a situation that happened that never really talked about until I listened to Tammy's podcast and did the light bulb moment of aha. And so that's kind of why I'm here. So yeah, there's a lot more to me and to that, but that's kind of the reason why I'm here. So That's the short of it.
Thank you, Ashley. Oh, Tammy, are you feeling well loved, Tammy?
I'm feeling all the feels over here. And honestly, like I have so much love and respect for all of you. And I just feel so much love and gratitude from all of your inner child that you showed up, that you're willing to do this work, that you started listening, whatever it was that got you here, that you listened to that intuitive nudge and somehow she got you here. Like Dan's like, I don't know why I'm here, but your inner child's like, haha, that was me. You're welcome. It's so beautiful. And I just, all the feels over here for all of you. So thank you for showing up for you and for her.
I'm gonna let you drive now.
Oh man, after that, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I know. You're all verklempt.
This is good though. This is good. All right. I'm gonna talk you through a little visualization. And I'm not someone who it's hard for me to sometimes visualize. So I just part of this whole experience, but even this right now is I refer to it as your ego. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but just any judgment, any like, oh, this is silly, this is stupid, like any of those thoughts, just, like giving yourself permission to just fully be here. And again, let any thoughts just come up. What the first thought, the first feeling, that whatever, just go with it. You don't have to judge it like, well, that's weird. Why would I, none of that. So if you guys want to, up to you if you want to, you can just close your eyes. And I know sometimes if that feels vulnerable and you'd rather turn your video off for this, it's just going to be a couple minutes of walking you through. But if you feel comfortable doing that, otherwise you can just stay on and I'll have everybody close your eyes and I'll just kind of walk you through this. So I'll let you get situated. All right, now that your eyes are closed, I want you all to take a deep breath in through your nose and then slowly exhale out your mouth. And let your body begin to soften. And take another deep, full breath in, filling your lungs, and release. I want you to feel your shoulders drop. If your jaw is clenched, relax that. Let your belly soften. If your hands are clenched, release that. And just really drop into your body and really notice what's going on within your body. If there's any sensations going on in your body, things that you may need to just relax and sink into. Because with each breath, I want you to imagine you're coming home to yourself. Whatever that feels like, looks like for you. Take one more deep breath in. And now I want you to gently bring your attention to your heart space. And if you want, you can put your hand on your heart, the center of your chest. And I just want you to notice what's there. And you're like, nothing? Maybe it's nothing. And that's okay. Maybe it feels open. Maybe it feels guarded. Maybe there's emotion already brewing. And there's a little discomfort with that. Just whatever you notice, welcome it. This is about us getting curious with what's coming up for us. And with your next breath, I want you to imagine this really soft, warm light glowing in your heart. Knowing that this light is safe, it's loving, it's steady, and it's lighting up this inner sanctuary within you. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine this path opening up in front of you. And again, whatever comes up for you. It could be a forest, a field, a beach, a living room, a playground, wherever this path is leading you. But it's a place that feels peaceful and safe to you. And if it's not, you can sit with that too. Just go with the first image you see, the first feeling you see. And I want you to start to walk this path slowly. knowing that that light is safe within you, guiding you. And you don't need to know where this path leads. You're just allowing that same intuition that got you here to carry you one step at a time. And then up ahead, you begin to see a small figure. And they're sitting there. Maybe they're playing. Maybe they're waiting for you. And you start to get curious and you notice the curve in their cheeks, the glimmer in their eye. Maybe they have pigtails, maybe wearing a dress, maybe covered in mud. But this is your inner child. And I just want you to pause for a moment. And when you realize that and you see her, what feelings come up for you? And what does she look like? What is she wearing? What is she doing? What is her energy like? Because for some of you, she might be playful and joyful. And for others of you, she may look sad. She can be any age. Just trust that whatever version shows up for you today is exactly who you need to be with. Again, I just want you to pause for a moment and take her in. And again, notice what she's doing, notice how she's feeling. And whenever you're ready, I want you to go up and gently approach her. Maybe you sit down next to her. Maybe you hop on the swing next to her. But you're letting her know that you're here now. Let her know that you're here to listen and that you're open. And just letting her know that she's not alone. And as you sit next to her, or you're standing next to her, I want you to ask her, what do you want me to know? What do you need from me today? In this next session, what do you need me to know today? What do you want me to get out of this session? What have you been carrying on your own that you need me to carry with you, for you? What do you want to tell me? What do I need to know? Because I'm here. I'm here to listen. And I'm not going anywhere. And you don't need to fix anything right now. You just need to be with her. Just holding space for her, listening, witnessing. And if you get some little nugget, I want you to almost see yourself like packing that up and taking that with you. And it's up to you. Maybe you'd let her know, like, okay, I've got what I need. Now I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go back. I'm going to start working on this. But if your inner child needs you to stay with her, maybe you bring her with. Maybe she needs to be with you during these sessions. That's absolutely individual and whatever you need. But you're just letting her know that you are starting this journey of remembering, of reconnecting, and that you are here for her now. You are the adult for her now. You are that role model for her right now. And that she doesn't have to carry it alone anymore. And before you head back, maybe you offer her a gift, or maybe she offers you a gift. Again, whatever comes up for you. Maybe it's something symbolic. Maybe it's a flower, a stuffed animal, a key, a feather, whatever comes to mind for you. And once you've given that to her, she's given it to you, you can start to walk back down that path. And just carrying that gift or that presence of that younger version with you. I want you to take a breath in and slowly exhale. And just begin to feel your body coming back to this present moment. And just sealing in that feeling, locking in that feeling of what that was like to connect with her, and knowing that you're going to carry that with you tonight and the next 4 weeks. And when you're ready, you can wiggle your fingers and your toes, kind of playfully childlike if you like. You need to roll your shoulders, bring your hand to your heart if it feels good. And then we're ready, you can open your eyes and come back. There you go.
There, thank you. Take a look around and see all the faces of everyone. Kind of ground yourself. Well, here we are. We're on this journey. Yeah.
Here we are.
I saw myself like I spent a lot of time alone playing. I don't know if other people can relate. Just a ton of time out in the woods playing by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I decided to bring her with me.
Awesome.
Yeah. For the journey. Some of the questions that I sent, and I know it was really last minute, and some of you are probably like sliding into our time together, was to think about some of the memories that you have from your childhood. And some of you that might be a struggle. Like not everybody has the retention, or sometimes trauma can interfere with like the retention of memories. And sometimes it's just that's just how your brain works and doesn't store things. So that might be harder for some than for others to think through, like, what are some memories of times when your needs were met and times when they weren't met, and memories of times with when they weren't met, how that made you feel, and when they were met, how that made you feel. And just some noticing of like themes that you have. Like a big theme for me is being called too sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it wasn't until my 30s where I was like, actually, sensitivity is my superpower. So when my mom called me too sensitive, or other people in my life called me too sensitive, it said very little about me, because it's like, well, yeah, I already know that about me. And that's not going to change. And it said a lot about them and like their ability, right, in my life to deal with sensitivity and a sensitive soul. Like they would actually have to modify, my mother would have to modify her parenting or her interactions with me. And her kind of calling me out, like, don't be so sensitive, was more about, I don't know if I want to modify how I parent, or I'm not able to modify how I'm parenting, you know? And so be thinking about, I work with a lot of women who have similar too sensitive, too dramatic, too emotional, you feel too big. Maybe you felt invisible. Maybe you felt like lost, ignored. So whatever things are kind of coming up for you, what did you feel like you needed most at that time? Tami, was there anything else that you wanted to follow up with at all, or
After that?
Yeah.
No, if anyone, if you make notes of what came up for you, or if there was a little gift, that could be something significant along the way. So just taking note of that.
Okay.
I will say after the session is to take some time before you go back to taking care of whoever or doing whatever you need tonight, is to just kind of reconnect and have that moment and really ground into that feeling. Would be helpful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But just to kind of play off of what Christie was saying, something that's actually come up for me as a mother. And if you have kids, you recognize real quick is that they will show you where your wounds are, because they trigger them. But that was like, oh, that's why. Because I'm experiencing with my daughter right now, she's 11 going on 20. and and very much like me. And what I have learned over the years, but I'm getting the lesson again, or just having to kind of tighten things up, is when she gets upset about something, even if it's not related to me, just school or whatever, I want to jump in so quickly and make her feel better and fix it. And sometimes she is not, most times, 99.9% of the time, she is not ready for that. She is not ready for my pep talk. and I understood like why this was so hard. And I was like, oh my gosh, like no one ever did that for me. So I'm like overcompensating for her, and I'm not giving her time to move through it or become regulated before I come in with, what could we learn from this? And how are you? Should we talk about it? And I jump in too soon, and then she lashes out at me. But I thought about that. I'm like, I always needed someone to come in and be like, are you okay? You know, even if the fights or the arguments or whatever wasn't about me, sometimes I just needed someone to be like, hey, you know, that's parents fight or siblings fight, and it's okay. We'll resolve that. But there never was that. And so I was always kind of left like, are we okay here? But then, like Christie mentioned on the episode she was on, was that I was like, well, let's sweep it under the rug and back to normal. And that really messed up my intuition, really messed up my ability to feel validated in what I was experiencing, which made me question everything as an adult. Like, is that really what I saw? Is that really what they said? Is that? And so coming back and trusting my intuition has been a huge, huge thing because of that. So that was a resonating theme for me, if that helps anyone kind of stir up some stuff.
Great. So I wanted to move into the difference between the language I use is this, and then Tami will kind of throw in her language, because you learn from different sources the content around inner child work. So the language I use is wounded child, adaptive child, wise adult. And the wounded child is like thinking about the scar, like the initial, like the wound, the wounding that occurred, the cut that occurred, the emotional wounding that occurred, whatever that might be, of not getting your needs met, or for some people, trauma experiences, right? And so it's that initial bleed. And then the adaptive child is that part of us that protects us. So you can think of it like the scar tissue. Like the wound is always there. You can see where the cut was. But the scar tissue that like protects that vulnerability of the wound is your adaptive child. And then we move into adulthood and hopefully create our wise adult. But what I found when I first started doing this work was I was in my adaptive child probably 80% of the time, which meant I was hyper vigilant. I was caretaking other people's needs over my own. I was gaslighting myself. I was staying in relationships loyal wise way too long. And I was just, my adaptive child was driving my relationship car. And as we know, children should not be behind the wheel, especially of relationships.
Right.
So as we move forward, we'll talk more about how do you know when you're in your wounded child? How do you know when you're in your adaptive child? And how do you know when you're in your wise adult? Adaptations are things that we do to live with, to live within the circumstances, you know, our life, and get by. They're survival strategies. So wounded children are usually that initial wound, like under age 5. Adaptive children come out around 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and beyond. And so whatever strategies you used when your needs weren't getting met, you use as an adult. And you try to get your needs met. So I want us to have a lot of compassion for our inner child and a lot of compassion for our adaptive child, because it's like, you know, that girl like was, for me, my adaptive child, that girl was fierce, and she got us through a lot of things in life and got us through like some pretty intense situations. And we're not doing this work to like abandon our inner child. We're doing this work to like bring her along with, but not let her lead the show or drive the car. So anchoring it in, what are some adaptive child like losing strategies? So these are in the workbook, but you can also like write these down as I'm saying them. One losing strategy, and this is one of my favorite ones, is unbridled self-expression. Basically, it's when I'm not getting my needs met in partnership, I have squirreled up the 10 things you haven't done over the last 2 weeks, and I will hurl them at you one after another, after another, after another, just to make sure you feel really bad about not meeting my needs. And also call it like verbal vomiting. And so it's like,
That's me on the podcast.
yeah, it's just like, I'm going to vomit everything all over you. And you can raise your hand if you are familiar with this unbridled self-expression. Okay, calling yourself in to the show today. Another one is controlling, either overt or covertly. So for me, a lot of it comes, all control, if you think about it, comes from fear. You're afraid of something, just so you can be a little compassionate around your controlling tendencies. And control can come through, dietary things, the exercise that you talked about, Tami, right? It can also come through, I used to do all of our finances because my biggest fear was like not having money or being surprised. And it drove me crazy to be surprised by like $1,000 bill or $100 that we had to put here. And so I just controlled all of our finances so that the shit in my relationship would like never hit the fan. But the thing of it is no other adult wants really their finances controlled, including my husband. That then, their adaptive child comes out and like covertly controls, right? Passive aggressively by like sneaking a little money here or buying little things here, So nobody in relationship wants to be controlled, but we think that if we're controlling aspects of our life, everybody will be okay. If everybody would just line up the way that I want and need them to line up, we will all get out of here alive and we will all be okay. So can anybody relate to controlling things, being overly controlling? Okay. That's your adaptive child. It's just trying to get your needs met. So we'll teach her some other ways. The other one is withdrawing. And this isn't the silent treatment. Silent treatment, if you ever grew up with a parent that gave you like the silent treatment, or you had a partner in your life, or you give people the silent treatment, that's control. That's a different form of control. People pleasing is also control. It's I'm saying yes and I'm going to do the things and I'm boundaryless and I'm deeply going to regret it or resent it later on. So that can be a form of control too. I see you calling yourself out there, Tami. Yeah. Withdrawing is different. Withdrawing is like everything is so intense, or like sensory is so intense. I'm just going to completely withdraw. It might be subtle, going to bed early every single day so you don't have to like deal with relationship stress. It could be overworking, going out and overworking or over socializing, filling your camera or your calendar completely with all the things so that you don't have to face relationship stress. It could be just withdrawing completely. Anytime there's a conflict or a conversation that's uncomfortable, I'm going to pull myself out of it. And it's different than a responsible timeout taking, because I try to take responsible timeouts as much as possible in my relationship. Responsible timeout taking is like letting the person know you're taking a timeout. Like, I'm feeling so triggered, I have to take a timeout. So you're not just like leaving and the person's like, I'm confused. We're just in the middle of a conversation. Responsible timeout taking is I'm leaving and I need about 30 minutes, or I'm leaving and this is so intense and I'm feeling this so intensely that I'll let you know. But it has to be kind of like a check-in within 24 hours. Otherwise, it's not a responsible timeout taking, it's control. So withdrawing is different than that. Withdrawing is like, I'm out of here, and then sweep it under the rug. We're not going to talk about it again. And, oh, you have feelings about that? your way of dealing with your feelings is too intense. I'm withdrawing. I've withdrawn. I'm not talking about that. Another one, anybody familiar with withdrawal? Do you do withdrawals at all? Okay. Yeah.
Check.
Check. Retaliation is another one. And retaliation is you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you back. Withholding intimacy and sex. I'm too mad at you to be intimate with you. Sabotaging something. Not inviting your partner out because, you know, you hurt me and you're not going to go have fun with me tonight. I used to do this one. There was a time where my husband and I were fighting so much that we were supposed to go away to this like romantic weekend. And I was like, screw that, I'm not going. And I unpacked my suitcase. And he literally packed my suitcase and said, we are going, get in the car, and we are going to figure this out in a hotel that we already paid for, but we'll figure it out. So I would do like the retaliation a lot, like just cancel all the plans. Forget it. We're not going on the date tonight. You hurt me. I'm going to hurt you back. And then the last one, and there's more, like there's myriads of these, but these are like the 5 typical ones that I see often, is being right. So if you're a know-it-all, let's do a twinkle of hands with retaliation. Any other retaliators out there? Like, you heard, okay, Ashley, I see you. Tami, I see you. The last one is being right. And so it's, do you ever get in these like persuasive arguments with your partner or your kid or colleague where it's like, no, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then you said this, and then I said that, and that's why this happened. Anybody familiar with those? Yeah. That means you're trying to be right. And here's the thing. I got some bad news for you. You can't be right and be in relationship. The two don't go hand in hand. And so if you're so set on being right and like as if you're on the witness stand and you're giving evidence in a trial for your life, and darn it, I told you it was at 5 and you got home at 6 and I know I'm right because I told, like, if you're into that, that's your adaptive child showing up and like trying to be right, trying not to ever feel embarrassment, discomfort, disappointment, those kinds of things that go hand in hand with a deep, intimate relationship. And so being right is an adaptation. So you don't have to deal with the subjective reality of how your partner might feel or how you might feel. If we stick with just the objective reality of what happened then and then what happened and then what happened, then we don't have to deepen our intimacy and really feel or tell our partners, I feel hurt. I feel disappointed. I feel pain. Or we don't ever have to like apologize. Any people familiar with being right? Okay. Is apology for anybody hard? Oh, it's like the hardest 2 words ever. Well, 3 words. I am sorry. Yeah. So if that's hard for you, probably your adaptation is being right. And we learn these adaptation either through modeling. We saw a parent or a caregiver doing this adaptation, or we are doing the opposite. We saw the caretaker, like our mom always had to be right. Well, I'm never going to be like her. And so we do like the total opposite as an adaptation. So we can go either route of like modeling what we learned that's like not great behavior, or doing the shifting the pendulum and overcorrecting to be like a doormat. I'm never going to be right, but I'm going to be submissive and accommodating and people pleasing. And that's the overcorrection because darn it, my mom was always right and she had the worst marriage ever. And I'm not going to do that to my partner. But then we sometimes overcorrect. And that's what adaptive child is. And we'll talk about a little bit about as we move through our time together, how do you know when your adaptive child is coming out? Generally speaking, if you're doing one of these losing strategies, that you're in your adaptive child. Tami, what is the language you use for these?
Yeah, I mentioned to Christy, I'm like, I should probably, the people that do listen to the podcast, because I don't use that same language, but it really is the same thing. And so if you've heard me talk about ego, that to me is the adaptive child. I see our ego as the protector of your inner child, not like your ego, like, oh, he's got such a big ego and like all full of himself. I don't see it that way. I mean, I think that was the perception growing up, but my ego makes me play small. My ego dims it. It's not like, oh, look at me. It's the opposite. Don't look at me. So I think of ego as your inner child's protector. So it's like whether it's a big sister, however you want to see it. And so really, however she's talking about it, whatever resonates for you, and you can like, yeah, I can get on board with that and think of it as my adaptive child. Like, yeah, I saw my inner child adapt in these ways to do this, where it helped me see it outside of that as ego being like, hey, I got you, and kind of talking to my inner child, like, I'll protect you, but I'm going to do these things. So I always kind of saw it as my ego telling my inner child to go down in the basement where it was safe. And don't worry, I'll go upstairs and I will be the people pleaser. I'll take care of everyone. I'll make sure your needs are met while you stay down here and stay safe. And so that's how, again, so if you've listened to the podcast, that's like, oh yeah, that's, but that's kind of how Christy talks about it and I talk about it. So again, whatever resonates for you, but I just see it as, what is my ego doing? And once you can start to recognize those patterns, because that's the first step, because then you'll get to a place where like, why is it doing that? And usually there's some feeling or something that it's trying to avoid, some sort of discomfort, a need not being met, but we'll get there. But right now it's just being aware like, oh, I do this. Oh, and that's where I think for all of you, this is probably the most exciting part about this work, is you can release so much guilt and so much shame. And for me, that was around my binge eating. You know, I was a registered dietitian. I have a master's degree in nutrition. Like, get your shit together, Tami. Sorry, I can't swear on here. Like, you should know better. And I would beat myself up so many times with that cycle, or even things in my relationship. I would just stay stuck in that shame cycle. I would have so much guilt about what I did or what I said or what I didn't do. And when I saw it this way, it's like, oh, and that's when really everything clicked. As I could see that when I was being overly restrictive, my ego was trying to protect me from being called a whale again and feeling like the fat friend. Then I saw my rebellious part trying to protect me from over restricting and not, getting enough or feeling deprived and all of these things. Like, oh my gosh, like I understand why it's doing these things. And when I would binge eat, it was trying to protect me from having to feel lonely, to have to feel sadness, to have to feel, because I was just numbing with food. And now I can look at that and be like, thank you for your service. I see what you did and why you thought that was helpful. And like Christy said, for a lot of people, you can look back and be like, dang, I was fierce. That got me through some stuff. I needed to be independent. I needed to be fierce. I needed to be able. So that's why, yes, we need to have so much love and gratitude for that part of us. But then we have to also be able to look at it as an adult and see where it's no longer serving us. And that's the trickiest part, because your ego is like, I have protected her your whole damn life, and now you want to take over. And if we're not showing up consistently, like to me, ego doesn't trust me yet. Because if I'm in and out, it's like, well, you haven't showed that you're consistently taking care of her, whether it's through my nutrition or through movement, or just now it's like, are you going to show up consistently and feel your feelings? Because if you're not, then I got to take over. And I don't want my ego to take over because of what it does. So it's like, I have to show up. So that's kind of the difference there, if that helps, gives people a different perspective.
Yeah, and there's different language that Richard Schwartz does with internal family systems, if anybody's done any work with him or studied that stuff. So that's kind of the language we're gonna, interweave together. When you hear Tami talk about ego, she's talking about, adaptive child kind of stuff, and vice versa. So any thoughts? I would take like maybe 1 or 2 shares right now of any thoughts of what's coming up for you as you hear this, how it's making you feel. Tami.
Actually, I have to say, because I panicked in the beginning, that I've worked with Christy before and known her a long time. So when I knew you two were working together, I got really excited about it. But so I forgot to add that in the beginning. I got panicked. So, but anyway,
Very
so
cool.
I'm excited. But anyway, but I guess I have to say it just like doing the little meditation. It was brought in a lot.
Yeah.
Let it out, let it feel.
Yeah, but I guess I've been keeping that in too long. So I'm excited for this. So this will be good.
Are you willing to share that if your tears could speak? What would they be saying?
I really kind of think it was just I spent a lot of time by myself and then but like how I'm trying to think how Tami said it, just like I was like the peacekeeper with, just the good kid, the quiet one, and the other two, just stay quiet and be the good girl and everybody will be happy. And then as growing up, then I just kind of, took care of everybody, but an empath. And yeah, so just does take a lot out of you.
It does. Yeah. And it doesn't lead to connection or intimacy with self or others.
Right.
Just what we all want. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can get so emotional, like when you make that connection sometimes, because she's like, you're finally going to tend to me. You're finally going to take care of me. Like, yeah, that's going to bring up some emotion because she's been waiting your whole life for you to connect with her, to make her a priority. So let those feelings come up and feel that and see it as like this excitement that she's just so grateful that you're showing up for her now.
Thank you.
Can I share something with you? Would you be open to that? When you feel the emotions come up and you go like this, go like this. Yeah. Just like let them like live. They don't have to fly away so quickly.
True.
They get to stay and they get to
facing
live.
them.
Yeah. They get to be here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Love that. Anybody else want to share before we move? I just want to also know we are guaranteed for like an hour classroom. And tonight we're gonna go a little over. I totally understand if you have to leave, but we plan on taking some time tonight, and classrooms can last as long as 90 minutes. But if you need to leave, we get it. Yeah. Anybody else want to share what was coming up with so far what's shared?
I
Kate?
can.
Okay.
This also relates to why I'm here. I'm moving from a place of self-hatred to acceptance and gratitude for myself and eventually love. And it's now the first time I've ever really wanted to know me and know about me. Because I think part of that is my adaptive child of how I was taught to treat myself. So moving from not wanting to know anything about myself, be here or, all over that range of self-hatred to accepting that I do have worth and people benefit from me and what I do and being around, and I'm not just a burden. And I took a class with Christie before also, and it was amazing. And that was one of the reasons why I'm here too, at the Foxy studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Embodiment.
Yes.
That was fun. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
That gets me so excited just to even be curious. Like if I've hated this version before, and again, I mentioned if your inner child's like locked in this room and we just ignore, I think of my own kids, like if I'm ignoring them or I don't want to get to know them or feel like I hate them, like that's how my inner child feels like, but why? What did I do? And so for you to, again, be in this space where it's like, hold up, like I actually do want to get to know you. And oh my gosh, again, just all the feels with the excitement that she must feel after all these years. And for you to be able to, talk to the adaptive child or to your ego and be like, no, 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 it's safe. Like, I actually want to get to know her. You need to let me in and let me hear her story. Let her tell me, and don't block me from this anymore. Because there's something beautiful in that. That's cool.
That was very cool. All right, we'll move on to kind of teeing you up for the next week. So I think the first step of any kind of change you do is the light bulb moments and ahas and growing awareness. And so there is no like, by next week, stop all of your losing strategies. And if you want to get an A in this week's class, no, that is not what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Awareness is key. And so keep losing, using the losing strategies and be like, oh, I'm doing that thing again. I'm doing that thing again, because the more aware you start becoming with those strategies and how you use them and how you move through your life, the more you can make peace with them and put your adaptive child in the back seat of the car, maybe strapped in safely, but you get to drive your driver's seat of the car. So we're going to be looking at being triggered. And I truly believe any time that I am triggered in life, it is an opportunity for some kind of growth. Relationships that trigger me are actually super exciting for me because I'm like, ooh, there's something here. And I don't immediately run from them. I don't like cut them out. I think the relationship I currently have with my partner is one of the most triggered relationships I've ever had in my life. And there's like intensity there, and there's opportunity for growth. So he's doing this work with me, and so he'll even say, ooh, your adaptive child was coming out fierce in that one. And then he'll even own, his like being rightness that he kind of has and moves through life, and owns where that comes from for him, that it was definitely a survival skill, and his dad did it. So he modeled after his dad, but hated his dad for doing that. And so it's really powerful when you have a partner. And I would say, invite your partner along if you have one. And if you have any future partners, like make that commitment of we're doing the work together, because it can be really powerful when you do it with somebody. But being triggered is normal, and it means, hey, there's something here for me. So what I want you to think about is, what do I mean by being triggered? Here's an example. A trigger of mine is when my partner calls me out on my tone of voice. Anybody else have that trigger? Is that a weird one?
Yes.
Okay. Like I can be a very intense person, and I can shift. I can be like warm and loving and like ooey gooey. But the other day on a phone call, I'm trying to think of what day it was, like 2 days ago on a phone call, maybe 3. We were lovey-dovey and talking to each other, but then I shifted because we also do some work together, and I shifted to like a contract that we're looking at, and my tone shifted. And he was just immediately like, oh, well, you don't have to be so like aggressive. And I was like, what? And he was just like, your tone. And just that word tone, I was like, go time, buddy. And I was like, unbridled self-expression, and told him all the things I've been squirreling up because I'm a nice person. So I didn't say it at that time, damn it, because I'm a nice person. But when you said this the other day, I was mad, and I didn't tell you that because I am a good person. So now I'm telling you because my tone didn't shift. And so it was like an hour later, like this fight, ridiculous fight, right? And that was just like, I'm doing this work. I'm fully immersed in this work, and I'm still doing the work. But he said, like, later, as we were like repairing, and we can teach you some repair strategies, he was saying, you don't like when I say tone shift. I'm like, no, like it invalidates me as a woman that when I shift and I'm becoming more serious, like I think I was just denounced as a kid that you should just always be happy. and that those happy feelings are like the only feelings that are allowed here. And that a tone shift, when you're saying your tone shifted, I don't like it. You're saying, I don't like the feelings that are underlying the tone shift. So it felt invalidating to me, like, well, yeah, I'm being serious. Like we have a deadline and I wanted to show you my serious voice. And I'm not always going to have like the warm, loving voice that you apparently need all the time, right? So how do I know that I was triggered? Well, one, my actions, but also I feel it like in my gut. It feels like a sucker punch. It sometimes takes my breath away when I'm triggered. Um, I get warm, I get flustered, I get short of breath. Like I feel a fight within me. I'm not, if you look at fight, flight, or freeze, fight's my favorite. I'm a scrapper.
I'm a freeze. I freeze.
You freeze. So I want you to think about what happens in your body when you're feeling triggered. And I'd love to do some share outs of like what that feels like in your body so that some of you may be like, I don't know. I don't know when I'm triggered. I don't want it just to be a behavioral thing. Like we see these losing strategies. I want you to embody it like somatically. What does it feel like when you feel triggered? Anybody have a share?
I get real hot. Like
Okay.
all of a sudden I'm like a cherry. I'm like, where in the hell did that just come from? And then I sit and I think, oh, yep, I was triggered by something. And I'm like, from my head all the way down to my toes. And it can be the coldest day of the year, it doesn't matter. But I'm like, oh, I have to take note of that because I didn't like that. And sometimes it's things that you would normally trigger you, and then other times it's like, I didn't even know that was an issue, but it's obviously an issue.
Yeah. Cool.
That's
very fun.
information. That's like she said, triggers are gold. That's where you want to get in there and be like, ooh, what's in there for me? Because yeah, it might come out of nowhere. Like there was one time we didn't have vegetables in the house and I got irrational. Like, and I was this is before I knew this work. And I ended up going in my bedroom and putting a blanket over me like a little kid. I was like throwing a tantrum because I didn't have what I wanted or what I needed. It didn't feel like I was being taken care of. So sometimes it can feel like you're kind of throwing a tantrum in a sense. Like that's another feeling that I get, or it feels like my throat gets really tight because oftentimes I can't speak, or I'm going to people please, or I just freeze altogether. So I might feel like it's right there, but I can't get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Or you pee your pants in front of your band director in 5th grade. True
There's
story.
that.
There's that.
Yeah. And I'm a true believer that any intensity in the here and now in relationship, if you follow the string back, like Hansel and Gretel back to your childhood, there is something there, a memory or a key turning point where an unmet need happened or a trauma happened. I don't believe that there's any intensity in the here and now as an adult, like that isn't traceable back. Might take some thinking, but it's traceable back. Anybody else want to share how their body feels when they know like I'm being triggered? Yeah,
I
Lindsay.
just I get like my chest gets tight, my eyes start to well up with tears, like I just like want to scream or choke somebody kind of thing, like, and it's just trying to not like totally blow up and go off the handle. And I've been working on like, okay, like what's going on, and just try to breathe it out before I totally lose all of my shit.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
That's real.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing for homework between now and next week is a trigger treasure hunt. How does that sound?
It's a good inner child spin on it.
Yeah, and keep a journal like of moments of time where that was coming up. And then the other piece is try to trace it back. Where does this come from for me? Why did I feel so intense that I got cut off in traffic? Why did I feel so intense when I thought we agreed on this for dinner and I get home at 7 and nothing started. Like, why did I feel intense when, you know, you weren't there for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions on what we're doing? And the homework is also in the book, in the workbook that's online. No questions.
And I will say this is not a shameless plug, but for those of you that haven't listened to the last 2 weeks, a lot of what we talked about tonight and I talked about in those 2 episodes was like Christie, like I've been doing this work. I immerse myself. I live and breathe inner child work. And holy crap, did I get blindsided by my ego the last like 3 months to the point where I was straight up abandoning my inner child, which I'm like, I don't do that. Oh, I did. So if you want to feel like, okay, we're all in this together, it's a good episodes because yeah, this current relationship really showed me some things that I hadn't dealt with when there are other people in the mix. So
yeah. I'll put the links to your episodes in the community. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the community and how you can use it and if there's questions, and you don't have to use it. It's there to like communicate and be, engaged. I'll still be sending out emails once a week reminding you of the link and the time. But any other comments or things that you want to share before I talk about the community? Okay. So how we're running the communities on a Kajabi platform, which is just the name of it. You can do it on your laptop, or you can also download the free app. I'll show you what it looks like. If you look at my apps, it's the not the white one with the red K, but it's the red one with the little comment white and then the little red K. So when you're looking up Kajabi, if you want to download the free app, it's a Kajabi community app. And then you have your username and your passcode. If you need me to reset it, I certainly can, or send you another link. In there, we're asking that you introduce yourself. Some people have already. And yeah, just you can use that community to get the recordings of the classes or pieces that you miss. I think I feel like somebody was on and they fell off at some point. Okay. So in that community you can interact. We also will be sharing resources and the workbooks in there. And the weekly meetups and things like that are also in there. If you struggle with the community, don't get frustrated. Like, just reach out to me and I can support you in that. The reason I don't do it on social media is a lot of people are kind of leaving social media, and they're not like many people that I work with. They're not even doing social media anymore. And for a lot of people, part of their like good mental health is to like not be on social media. And so I'm trying to keep the communities that I at least lead off of the social media platforms as much as possible, so that people feel included and not having to go into their Facebook to interact with people. So we'll try this and see if it works. And if not, we can always do like a WhatsApp group. And I also need you to privately message me your mailing address, because I'm going to send you a little gift. So make sure you message me your mailing address so I can send you a gift. That's all I have. Tami, do you have anything else that you want to add? You're muted. And I know we have one more person in this group too, maybe even two, but they're not here. So I'm just looking at my phone to see if they've sent me a message.
Oh, I was just going to say, as far as the community, this is an example of this. Like I had this huge like breakthrough and epiphany today, and I wanted to share it. Like I wanted to record a podcast, like, oh, I'm in the moment and I want to share this because it's so real and so raw, and it felt really validating and powerful. And it was okay for like it to just be for me right now. But I want to encourage you, if at any point throughout this next week, when you have those ahas or you're recognizing some of those patterns, use the group for that. And because again, that's another way for us to witness you in that and to support you in that and to hold space for you in that. Like the whole point of this is that you don't have to go through this alone. You don't have to wait a whole week. You know, I know when my kids come home from school, like they want to tell me it now. They don't want to wait until like, well, just hold on. I got to do this, this, and this, and this. And they're like, no, I want to tell you now. So think of that from your inner child. Like, no, we just figured this out. And so if you need to come into the group and just share that, do that, just to, again, allow yourself to be witnessed in all of this, and that you don't have to go through any of this alone, and that community can be there, you know, to help hold you and support you in it. So, and if there's anything that you do need, you know, some help connecting dots or something at any point throughout this week, I'm here too. That's my favorite thing, is dot connecting. Ooh.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap up our time, I would love for you each to kind of have a chance to speak. And what I want to hear is, as I was coming in today, I felt, as I leave here tonight, I feel. So as I was coming in here tonight, I felt super excited, and I love leading groups, and I love like sisterhood. It feeds me. And as I leave here tonight, I'm just feeling really at peace, and like gratitude too with Tami. Like I picked the perfect collaborator, and just love teaming with other women to do good work. So thanks.
I love that. I'll go next. I came in here super excited. I was jamming out to some of my inner child's favorite music beforehand. And I'm leaving here with an excitement as well, but a different kind. Like for all of you to just see how you're coming in, and to see that you're curious and that you're eager to learn. Like I'm excited for your inner child, like on a whole different level of what this is going to open up for all of you to come in with the energy that you have. Like I was hopeful that you're coming in like that. And then when you did, it was like, oh, they're here for this. Yes. So that's how I'm leaving. And just gratitude for all of you.
Mm-hmm. And you can just popcorn in. I'm not going to call on people.
For myself, I came in kind of thinking about, you know, the inner child questions and my past and stuff. And like, I think obviously that's part of it, thinking about your past, but it's like really excited to like think about your future too, and like who you can become. And like, you know, it's really nice seeing everyone here and like, oh wow, there is so much like ahead. And it's just like really nice to look forward to that.
I love that.
I'll go.
Because she really is the key to unlocking so many cool things in your future. So yeah, you're in the right place.
I came in tonight kind of not knowing what to expect. And then when we did the little kind of guided meditation, and it was weird because I had to turn my camera off, because as soon as I put my hand on my heart, I kind of lost it, and I didn't expect that. So I am leaving today knowing that I'm able to find her and figure out what's going on. So it was not, I didn't expect to react like that. I mean, I can be very emotional, but not that quickly. So
Ooh, love that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting that come through, and not like stuffing it down or bottling it up, and just letting that come through for her, because that's just like that reunion. Like, oh, you're here for me. Like, yeah, that's going to be a flood of emotion. That's beautiful.
I came in not knowing what to expect, and now to be honest, I'm scared as hell. I don't know what this is, but like when I shut my eyes, I think I was crying, but I don't even know why, because I don't know. Now I'm a little nervous, but gotta be for something good, so I'm in.
I love that reframe. Like, maybe this is excited energy. I don't know. I'm here to find out. Awesome.
Yeah, and I also think we don't stop enough as women to tap into our body. And so sometimes when you have that moment, that Tami
Mhm.
offered and gifted us tonight. It might have been the first time you had a conversation with your body, even for years for some women. So, yeah. Anybody else want to check out?
I can. I was more like nervous than I thought I would be. Like when we like hopped on, I was like, my heart was pretty tight. Like, what are we gonna come up with? And now I'm like excited and also scared just of what's gonna come up, because like that fear of like knowing that there's so much more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where when those moments come up, and I think, you know, to me, again, ego can make us scared, like, oh, what are you doing here? But again, if you come in as Lindsay, the adult, and be like, no, I'm here, I got her. I mean, I think same thing with my kids. If they're scared, but they know I'm here, that just helps calm them. They start to feel safe. So when that feeling comes up for you, that's when you step in, be like, no, 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 I'm here, I got you. And whatever comes up, I'm right here. I'm not leaving you. And just feeling that and saying that will help you start to feel safe. But that's normal. I think ego's like, oh shit, like what's happening? I'm gonna lose control here. Huh? That's how I always feel. That is like it's about to lose, you know, I'm like getting kicked out of the driver's seat, you know, like I've been controlling this, I've been driving this. And what are you doing here, adult Tami? Like, well, so yeah, all valid.
I
Um,
came in anxious, and anxious to get vulnerable, strangers, you know. And I am leaving hopeful. I resonated with a lot of what everyone's said. So thank you.
Awesome.
I agree. I feel I came in curious, and now hearing you ladies talk even just a little bit, I also resonate with it, and I'm proud of myself, and I really like connecting with other women. So I think I'm going to get a lot out of this.
Yay.
Okay. I was nervous, excited, but not leaving excited. But I mean, it did bring up more than what I thought too in the first time. But excited too with the community of women and with Christie and Tami. You both just, I don't know, you know how to, you know what to say, and you just and you get it. So I don't know, you can cover a lot for us. So great.
I love that. And trust for all, especially Tami, the way like I know her and then the way you found me was just like, you can't make this stuff up. But for all of you, trust that you are here for a reason. You were guided here. You saw a post, you heard of something, you whatever, for a reason. And the fact that, to me, again, that your ego even let you show up, you could have found a million excuses. Ego's really good at finding excuses of not showing up, but you're here. And that right there is worth celebrating that. Hey, I showed up tonight. That is a win. And I'm going to keep showing up.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Great. I think we lost a person or two, Ashley, along the way, which is fine. Like people have to do their life. So, you have your homework, you have the community, and we'll see you next week, Thursday at 5:30 again. Okay.
Take
All
some
right.
time with your inner child before you go to life.
Yeah.
Little moment of gratitude for you for showing up.
Okay. All right. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.